yeah, I should win just because you had the Timberwolves in the 8th seed.
Vasilevsky's been playing really well, and the Lightning have a great offense.
Yeah, it was a tremendous shot, and I've come to expect it from LeBron. I would say I wish the best for the Red Sox, but as a Yankees fan, that's really hard for me to do.
The biggest addition to me is Jalen Brunson.
Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and that's all I have to say. He's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and there's nothing really anyone can do about it.
Why'd you have to name him? Like, seriously? Like, thanks, man.
Who would have thought 5 years ago that the Clippers and Nets would be facing in the finals?
How is Joe Burrow going to get the ball to them if his butt is already on the ground?
Crazy. And for the fans at home,
Hello, I'm Cy Mendenhall, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. Just before the playoffs are starting, they're about to get started, and then, of course, you have the play-in as well. But before that, you have the number 1 seed, which I kind of forget they're the number 1 seed, but the Cleveland Cavaliers are the number 1 seed in the East by 4 games over the Celtics. And Austin, just kind of, how are you feeling about the Cavs this year?
I mean, they played extremely well, but the real question is, what is the expectations for them this season? They've locked up the 1 seed. They're going to be the 1 seed. They will either play the Magic, Hawks, Bulls, or Heat, depending on how that whole play-in situation shakes out. But I do think it's a fair question to ask because I don't think a lot of people consider them the favorites in the East, even though they are the 1 seed.
Yeah, and just kind of how I mentioned, I haven't paid too close attention, but yeah, they are the number 1 seed. You kind of view the Celtics as that powerhouse in the East. And to kind of set expectations, I think they're a really good team. They've done okay in the playoffs, but I don't think the expectation is championship, that they make it out of the East. But I would say Eastern Conference Finals, given that you're the number 1 team in the East.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think the Eastern Conference Final has to be competitive if you do lose it. I don't think a 4-0 sweep would be enough. I think a lot of people would start calling them the 14-15 Hawks, even though I think people don't show enough love to that Hawks team because everyone talks about how good LeBron is. LeBron is the reason why the Hawks lost that series. I mean, along with some great performances by some other players, but a lot of teams were going to lose to that Cavs team in 2015. So them losing in the Eastern Conference Final. And I guess you can say the same thing about this year with the Celtics, right? The Celtics are a juggernaut. So if they were to get swept by the Celtics, it's more than just getting swept by like your average team, right? So, but I think as a Cavs fan, you expect this team to at least make the Eastern Conference Final. And they definitely are title contenders, but they're not the favorites. And because of that, I think an Eastern Conference Final appearance along with a competitive Eastern Conference Final will be enough for them to say that they had a successful season.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying with kind of that successful season in the Celtics, but and just how they're a powerhouse. I do think, because I don't think, how did they do last year in the playoffs? As I think they did not have a close second round, or am I nuts? So they did play the Celtics, and the Celtics won 4-1.
And 5, yeah.
Yeah, and 5. So yeah, I do think they were playing the Celtics, but before that previous year, they had also, I believe, lost in the first round, and it wasn't really close. So I do understand it needing to be close, given just where they're at. But like, I think it's going to be tough for them, but it is kind of given that what they did, and they were on such a hot start this year, that it would be viewed as a disappointment if they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and perform well, as you mentioned, barring an injury.
Yeah, I do think injuries are always something that you have to consider, but I think it'll take a lot for them to beat the Celtics, but every other team I think in the East is fair game. They don't have necessarily the best matchups against maybe some other teams, but they should be the better team in every other series, despite maybe a Celtics one.
Yeah, I agree, because I was thinking about the East. You really just have the Celtics, and then the Cavs are the second best team there. just even though I know they're ahead, but that's just kind of how you view the Celtics. I don't really view the Knicks as beating them. I think it would be close, but I do think they're better. They're better than the Knicks. Pacers, maybe Bucks, but the Bucks seem to me like a little bit of a mess with just Giannis and Dame. It's more star focused now versus just like a better team. So I'd be surprised if the Cavaliers don't take care of business in the second round and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
So you think that they will make it that far?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I'd be pretty surprised. Like even if it goes to a game 7 between the Knicks or Bucks, just kind of in that second round, I'd be shocked if they didn't make it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, I believe. But again, they still lack a fair amount of title experience, or not title experience, but just playoff experience. And while they have made some good trades, like the DeAndre Hunter trade, I really thought was pretty good. And they're relatively healthy now. They missed a couple guys from the last game, but they're basically just resting guys at this point. But I do think that they're going to have a very good chance to beat almost every team that they're going to face before the Eastern Conference Final. I do think they could struggle against a fast-paced team like the Pacers if the Pacers get hot like they did last year in the playoffs. But because they're just it's really hard to keep up with them when they're really playing well. But the Cavs are such a good defensive team that I wouldn't put it past.
Yeah, I'd find it shocking just given it where they are at the standings, even though we view them as the second best team, just how they don't do well. And then, of course, if somehow the Celtics falter, then you have to believe the Cavs make it to the championship just because they're not facing the Celtics. But any other team than that, if they lose before the Eastern Conference Finals or even to a team not the Celtics, I would say it's a disappointment.
So you think if they make the Eastern Conference Final and lose to the Pistons, or something like that, you think that that would be a disappointing season?
Yeah, I think they would view that as a disappointment just because you view them. I'm sure Cavs fans view themselves better than the Celtics just because they are number one in the East, but you have to understand the Celtics' dominance and just kind of how good of a team they are. So if you're not facing them, you feel like you have a pretty good chance and be confident that you do win. So it'd be a disappointment if they lost to the Pistons, even to the Bucks and Knicks, whoever makes it to that Eastern Conference Finals. That's not the Celtics.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So that is all I have. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please let us know what you guys think about the Cleveland Cavs. What is their ceiling in the playoffs? What is their floor? And what do you think they're going to do?